Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and 2 days in a row, baby. 2 days in a row, we're in a different room. What is going on? I promise you, this is not the new filming area. There's just a person downstairs right now, and I can't film because he's doing testing. It's my dad, but my dad's doing testing downstairs, so I can't film, but I'm filming up here. So today we're going off the beaten path, and we're going to be doing 10 cars that nobody talks about but absolutely should. In other words, underrated. They're underrated cars. Some JDM, some Euro, and one American Muscle, because I don't know too much about American Muscle. But please leave some comments of underrated cars down below, because I'm going to be doing a lot of these videos. It was so much fun making these. I can't wait to tell you guys the cars. It's just so much fun. But anyway, if you guys want to pick up some hats, shirts, or shorts to support the channel, go to www.smoothstance.com/shop. Pick yourself something up, and let's get right into the video. All right, so number 10 is the Chevy Impala SS, which stands for, which, by the way, this is in no particular order. These aren't most underrated, least underrated, so I'm just kind of putting them in anywhere. But the Impala came with a 5.7 liter V8 that makes 260 horsepower, and the car was rear-wheel drive. So you would think that it's a strong contender to be a very popular muscle car, right? It's got a freaking V8. It's got decent power, especially when it was made, and it's rear-wheel drive. Well, you'd be wrong. All right, for some reason, the car just didn't sit right, not only in the community in general, but even the muscle car community didn't really accept it as one of their own. Nowadays, yes, people are very starting to realize how sick of a car this is, but it is long overdue to be very overhyped. And I still don't see it becoming as popular as it should be, just because of how JDM has kind of taken the world by storm. But they had the freaking Corvette engine in it, but they had 4 doors, man. How is it not popular? My uncle has 2 of them, and they're so cool. They're a little heavy, though. Really quick, though, fact of the day is by it's Winston. Yo, what's up, Winston? How you been? And he says, fun fact of the day, your foot is the same size as your forearm. And yes, I did my research, okay? I put my foot up to my forearm, and it's true. Now, the car is in that gray area where it isn't old enough to be cool, but not new enough to be fast. So they're very, very underrated. I've actually never seen or heard anybody talking about these cars in real life, to be honest with you. I've heard of 8th gen SIs, people talk about those, but not the actual Type R. And yes, they do make only 4 horsepower more than the SI of the same model year, but that's not what Type R is good for. That's not what they stand for. They really they turn your daily driver into an absolute track beast in the Type R models, and that's exactly what they did with the 8th gen. Number 8 is the Mazda Miata NB, which comes with a 1.8 liter inline 4 that makes 145 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. And yes, that is right. The freaking little Miata that could. It makes 145 horsey powies. It's faster than you give it credit for, all right, man? It's still slow as hell. That's crank horsepower. The actual wheel horsepower is probably a lot lower than that, but it's still way faster than you actually think the NB Miata. People think Miatas can only top out at 60. That's not true. They're quick, but they're not super quick. Anyways, the obvious reason that this car is overlooked is because the NA Miata looks a lot cooler, and so people would rather have that one. But guys, they're the same car. The only difference is actually that the NB is a little bit better, in every way. To be honest with you, I really like the looks of the NB Miata, and since NAs are so expensive right now, I think this is such a better option. You get NA engine and NA platform, but everything has been tinkered and messed with to just be a little bit better, and they did it so right. It's just the looks that's drawing you away. I promise you, do your research on it and you'll fall in love with the NB. Number 7 is the Toyota Supra MK3, which comes with a 2.5 liter twin turbocharged inline 6 that makes 276 horsepower, and the car was rear wheel drive. And if you paid attention to the horsepower number, you may think, oh, that sounds familiar. And that's because this car came out when the freaking gentleman's agreement happened in Japan. So yeah, it was marketed as only having 276 horsepower, but it actually had a lot, there's 3 lots there, more than 276 horsepower. In case you don't know, the gentleman's agreement is something that happened in Japan, where all these sports car companies came out and said, listen, let's not market our cars as anything more than 276 horsepower to keep people safe and to stop this horsepower race. But nobody actually listened, and all they did was make it say that it has 276 horsepower. We're actually giving it a lot more horsepower. And since Toyota wanted to abide by the agreement but still wanted to make a fun car, they made an insanely tunable engine and just prayed that the community would be able to like realize the potential that the car has, and we sure did. The 1JZ found in this car, that's the name of the engine by the way, is what birthed the legendary 2JZ, and compared to it, it holds up. It's a shame that the Mark IV was such a freaking success, because now nobody cares about the Mark III, and they have a 1JZ that's just so legendary. Cool. And they didn't, but at the same time they did in a unique way. I don't know, I'm probably sound like I'm speaking gibberish right now, but the car like looks interesting. That's all I have to say. It looks interesting. The car also has an H6 in it, which is a flat 6, and that's just weird to me because besides Porsche, I don't know any other car with an H6 in it. It's a shame that they went overboard with the looks though, to be honest, because I would love to know what these engines are actually capable of, and there's like nothing out there on them. Number 5 is the Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4, which comes with a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 that makes 320 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive and had some of the most insane features out of a 90s car ever. All right, now the price for these is actually getting pretty high, and most people know that these cars are a legend, but there are still some people out there who just know nothing about this car, and it sucks because it's so cool compared to most other JDM cars out there that get all this hype. It has freaking active aero. Yes, the spoiler goes up when driving. It has 4-wheel steering. Yes, the back wheels steer too, and it has just so many other little features that were so ahead of its time, but somehow it's not up there with the greats. I honestly do not understand this one, and I can't tell you why it's underrated. I wish I could. Number 4 is the Audi S4 B5, which comes with a 2.7-liter twin turbocharged V6 that makes 250 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive, of course. And the car is pretty known within the Audi community. As a matter of fact, I think this is probably the most popular S4 to ever come out. But outside of the Audi family, nobody really talks about this car, and not just the B5, but to be honest with you, any S4 really. Like, they have some freaking insane potential, and they're still like a comfortable luxury car while looking extremely like slick and cool. It makes no sense to me. But if I had to guess, it would probably be because BMW kind of like took over the whole German luxury car market, and everybody follows trends. So now when they go to pick up a German car, they just go with the M3 instead of like giving the Audi S4 B5 a chance when they absolutely should. Third place, and it is the Toyota Cressida, which comes with a 3-liter inline 6 that makes 190 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. And all right, here's the deal. No, the engine isn't anything amazing in this car, and no, the car isn't something that will win your crush over, but the car is such a good, cheap drift car right now that it's actually mind-blowing. If I had like a bunch of money, I would be picking up every single Toyota Cressida that I saw right now, because they are literally the next S13 once everybody finally realizes the potential it has. We are living in the day where the Toyota Cressida is the cheap S13, like the S13 of 5 years ago is the Toyota Cressida today. They have great looks. They share lots of parts with other Toyota legends like the Supras, the A86, the Celicas, and they are dirt cheap right now while still being rear-wheel drive. And I mean dirt cheap. Now, the obvious reason that people aren't picking these cars up is because they aren't known enough. And like I said before, people follow trends. But give this car a couple years and they're going to have some insane drift hacks. Second place, it is the BMW 850 CSI, which comes with a 5.6-liter V12 that makes 372 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive, and good gravy, I love these cars. Now, I know that they are super expensive cars, and most true car guys, they know what these cars are by now, but to be honest, you will be surprised at how little people know about this car. It was a BMW, but it wasn't an M3, so it already didn't get all the recognition that it deserved. But on top of not having the right name behind it, it didn't even have a catchy name, which, yes, does play a huge part in it. Like, think about it. When you're looking at a car, 350Z, it rolls off the tongue. Z3, it rolls off the tongue. 850 CSI just does not, and so people didn't, like, catch on to it enough. And most importantly, it was never cheap enough for the young people to get their hands on it and influence other young people. But I promise, if you do some research on these cars, you're going to fall in love. First place is the Toyota Aristo, which comes with a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 that makes 275 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. And once again, gentleman's agreement happened right there, because this was actually the legendary 2JZ GTE. Yes, that is the exact same engine that's found in the Mark IV Supra. It was in another car, and it's called the freaking Toyota Aristo, or if you're in the States, the Lexus GS300. Now, in the States, the GS300 actually didn't come with the turbocharged 2JZ. It just came with a naturally aspirated one. It's still a good car, but it's nowhere near the GTE. But in Japan, the Lexus GS300, or the Toyota Aristo, came with the Mark IV Supra engine, the GTE. And yes, these cars are kind of expensive now because everybody knows that they have the engine in them, but the actual car itself is barely seen or talked about in the scene today, and it's way cheaper than a Mark IV Supra, but it shouldn't be, because it's literally a 4-door Mark IV Supra, people. Like, it's a great car. Do your research on it. But that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to like, comment another video you guys want to see down below, and subscribe to the channel for more. Also, let me know any other cars that I should do that are underrated, because I'm going to be doing like a little mini series out of this, because it was a lot of fun to make, so I'm definitely going to be making a couple more of these videos. Also, tomorrow's going to be top like 15 or whatever coupes under 5K, because we did 10K yesterday, so tomorrow's going to be 5K. Hope you guys are going to excited for that one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.